Welcome, folks. This is Pillow Talk. We're back on Season 5. It's been a little bit of a hiatus. And the reason for this hiatus is that Van and I have been busy. As you know, Pillow Talk takes up a lot of time, and we are also spending time on other things. So we have to juggle time. And sometimes the things are a little bit bigger than Pillow Talk. I know it's hard to believe that things are bigger than Pillow Talk, but some things are at certain moments. And so we've been spending more time on those other things. So Pillow Talk is skipping from Season 3 to Season 5. And among our projects, we've also had some basic financing, budgeting concerns that are common with any startup or any sort of creative work in its early endeavors, because we have obviously much bigger plans for Pillow Talk. And the Venmo financing did not really pan out as we thought. Some of these new technologies are changing really fast, and they're getting supplanted by other social media platforms. And YouTube wasn't keen on some of the work we were doing. We're moving up beyond all that, all those hiccups, and we're coming to you with more extreme content, more experimental content. Things that are pushing the edge, kind of like the shot that you just saw. Initially, you saw just a corner of a painting, and you saw a corner of a roof, drywall, ceiling, meeting wall, and autofocus action from the Canon HD 440D, I think. It's experimental stuff. And then you saw me, and I started talking. Experiment is about reaching the edge of things. It's about going beyond. It's about asking questions that weren't asked before, and it's about answering those questions. Experimenting is about dealing with past obstacles and going beyond in intuitive yet creative ways. I turned slightly because I'm turning the table on the audience and the producer. I'm going to ask you a question now. As the viewer, did you expect where the 2016 election took us? What were you thinking? Whose side were you on? Whose side should we be on? Whose side is right? Will family dinners ever be the same for the rest of this year and next year and the next 4 years? The election's a big thing. A lot of topics are being thrown out left and right. And in the spirit of Season 5, which is the experimental season, we're going to talk about some of the experimental aspects of the 2016 election. The Republicans, Mr. Trump's camp, and the Democrats, Clinton's camp, they're not experimental. These people are the major political forces in the nation. We're going to get experimental right now. And experimental means reaching into some of those deeper concepts and party platforms that aren't covered and that maybe should be covered. Just because it's experimental does not mean that it is not going to be beneficial. I'd like to talk about a very important concept made popular by Joan Stanton. Joan Stanton came up with it, but somebody else made it popular, and she was the head of that party. And I said, Joan Stanton, that's the woman that Jill Scott likes. Jill Scott is a big proponent of Jill Stanton's work. Jill Scott is a woman with integrity, and a woman who is not afraid to wave high the flag of experimental work and experimental platforms, experimental topics, experimental policies that are necessary in drastic political climates such as the one we're in right now. The platform is the experimental part of the platform is RTI, which many experts know. I'm going to explain that right now to laymen who don't know what RTI is, but it's the right to income. Whoa! Right to income. Does that make sense? How do we start talking about right to income? Right to income is extremely important because people need money to eat and to live. And having a basic income for each person is going to make sure that people don't need to become a jack of all trades, master of none person who's running a small business and trying to just make some money through Venmo or whatever, through a personally syndicated YouTube show, or helping friends move out and charging $40 for the truck, and then hiring help as needed, sometimes coming out in the red because you pay too much for the extra helpers to carry the boxes. The right to income would help that situation, which is a common situation throughout America, and people need to know about that. And Jill Scott is spreading the word. And I think it's about time to continue with the same topic, same theme of experimentalism, which is what we're all about, because being experimental is the product of every major change at every level. Our theme is the experimental. Season 5 is the season of the experimental. And that's why this particular episode is going to be themed with something we all like to sit on. And it's reflected in the name. And the name of this episode is Couch Talk. Welcome to Couch Talk, everybody. Couch Talk is happening right now. Sitting down here on the couch. I love my couch so much. I'm going to introduce you to a very special person. His name is, as you know from previous Pillow Talk episodes, this is a man who gets comfortable in the pillows. He pluffs up the pillows, he pops his head down on them, he knows how to make those pillows, very, very comfortable, and he loves talking to his buddy, me, about serious topics in a comfortable environment on Pillow Talk, and his name is none other than Van Williams Pierzalowski. Van Pierzalowski. And some of you may know him as the incredible co-host of Pillow Talk USA, but he's also a fisherman. He's caught fish in his life. Big salmon, small salmon. Sometimes he throws them back, but he catches big salmon. He's a successful musician, band leader, songwriter, person who travels around the States and he plays shows. And he is an advocate of nature. He goes out and does walks and does art, all sorts of things. Most of them are bonding trips with our co-host Pip. Sometimes I'd like to go along on those trips. But more important than his very beautiful bonding time trips with Pip, more importantly is that he's a Star Wars advocate. He knows all about it, and you can ask him any question. Top to front, he can talk you through any subject, anything related to Star Wars. It is the one and only, the Van Pierzalowski. Here he is.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Pillow Talk USA, now Season 5, the experimental season. Now, I think introductions are important. I think that introductions are crucial so that everyone can understand who is who and what we are doing. So I'm going to introduce my co-host, and he is sitting right next to me, and this man is one of the best men that I know. He comes from humble beginnings in Malibu. His father invented the laser. His father was the sole person who invented the laser that is now being used in many formats across disciplinary fields. He has 4 brothers, Rex, Thor, Ramses, and Darius, and they are all wonderful men, and he is one of 5. He is a SBO. He is a small business owner, and he is a very vocal advocate of RTI, the right to income, which he has lobbied hard to be a big part of Season 5. And of course, you may or may not know, have guessed now who I'm talking about. His name is Tamerlane Conan Vischer, everybody. And here we are.
Thank you.
We're back. And we're ready to start Couch Talk.
We're going to bring things in a little bit closer here. And we're going to bring things closer, not just to the field of vision for the viewer, but also to our main focus. This whole episode it's been kind of a lengthy one, and we are it's lengthy because it leads to something so important, and that is what we're about to talk about, and it's what this whole episode is about. It's called Couch Talk. We're going to talk about couches, everything you can think about in terms of couches. We know a lot about different types of couches. We know where they look good, where they look bad. We know which ones are comfortable, which ones are not comfortable. We know how it's sometimes hard to find change in the back crack of, or maybe a cell phone charger or a remote control. And we're just going to talk about everything that there is to talk about with couches. Well, I mean, I have plenty of questions that I can pose to you about couches because you know the full history of couches, which means you would also know that they were once not cushioned, but they were stone. They were stone couches. A lot of people don't know that couches were originally built in stone, hewed from stone. And in fact, this is the experimental part of history, and that is when did they start using the word couch instead of bench? And then when does just a flat place in a cave that happens to have a ledge, people thousands of years ago being inside of a cave and looking at stone cut out of the wall, or maybe naturally just there because a part of the stone wall came down, and there's a flat part on that wall that's a ledge. It's neither a couch nor a bench, but it allows a person to sit there because it's maybe 2 to 3 feet tall, and it goes in far enough, more than 6 inches, which would make it less of a ledge and more of a bench.
Yeah, and that's true. And there are some, it was a little oversimplified, but that is true. Another interesting thing that I've found about couches is that in Switzerland, people sleep on couches and they socialize on beds. They're in the same rooms. It's in the bedroom is your couch, and in the living room is the bed. That's how they do it in Switzerland, which I thought was interesting, considering that in Switzerland you have German-speaking Swiss population, you have French-speaking Swiss population, and a Dutch-speaking Swiss population. They all utilize couches in the same way, which I thought was very fascinating.
I realized I had already known about that, about the different language-speaking people that were talking about couches and had different or similar couches. I already knew that.
Did you know that there were 3 major speaking groups in Switzerland?
Yes.
Did you know what they were?
Yes, it's simple. I don't need to say it, but it's the German, the French, and the third one, which I don't need to say because the different shapes among the different languages was common among 2 of them and not the third. That's why we don't need to talk about the third one. But did you know that the common shapes for German couches were L, while the common couch shapes for the third, the 1/3 of those 3 languages that was spoken in Switzerland, their preferred couch was the standard jack, which is a straight couch. They call
For the people that don't know, it's a straight jack.
Standard jack.
That about sums up couch. And that's all we have for this week. Thank you for being experimental with us. I know it's challenging, and I know that it takes patience, but I think at the end of the season, you'll see that we're really stepping out of our box. Stay tuned.
Couch talk is different, so we're not going to say sleep well.
No.
So yeah, please stay tuned. And while we're on the couch here, we should just go ahead and say it, and that is...
Sit well.